all that. He says, I ended up huffing them whenever I was alone.
Oh, dear.
The effect it had on my person was so intense and profound that I feared that, he was talking about how he was turned on, that it would never subside.
Free Talk Live.
Go to Jeff. He's in Kentucky, listening online. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hello. Hey. I have something to add to last night's discussion about how Facebook is banning accounts like Louis Farrakhan.
Yep. Alex Jones.
Fan pages. Yeah.
Yep.
And anybody who has fan pages, because I have personal experience.
Tell me about it. What do you mean?
With Facebook. Well, back in February, I wasn't banned for life, but back in February, I was temporarily banned because I had nothing to do with hate speech, no cursing, no porn, but yet, however, I have a major foot fetish, and
oh dear.
So I just I found some pictures on another Facebook page.
Okay.
That I liked, and I put them on my Facebook page, and
these are just people's toes?
It popped up. Well, I'm a soul man, and I'm not referring to the old 60s song.
So you're into the soles of a foot, specifically. You have a very specific part of the foot that you're into.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a woman's soul.
Interesting.
And this is all the picture was. It was just a woman, totally clothed except from her ankles to the soles of her feet.
Yeah.
And as soon as I put that picture on my account, Facebook made something pop up saying that I was banned for so many days.
No way.
This is
yeah. And you got it from another Facebook page? Because this happened to us one time. It didn't have anything to do with a foot fetish, but it had to do with bikini girls, basically. We had the Gold Coast meter maids.
Reporting on a news story.
Right, the Gold Coast meter maids, which are, a bunch of hotties that walk around and fill parking meters in Gold Coast, Australia, as a customer service. It's amazing stuff. And we were talking about that, so we linked to their Facebook page.
We got banned for that.
And we got banned for that, temporary ban. So we'll come back with Jeff, the Soul Man. It's Free Talk Live. But we still have Jeff on the line in Kentucky. Jeff, you're back on Free Talk Live. Now, you said you posted a foot-related photograph from another Facebook page, so the photo was already on Facebook. You've posted this to your personal page, your personal profile, and
got an immediate ban, which I have never heard of.
Yeah, how long after the post were you banned?
I was banned for 30 days.
No. How quickly? I mean, Mark said it was immediate, but was it like a minute? Was it instantly? Was it an hour later? Was it the next morning? When
Has Facebook assigned a censor right to you?
Like, when did you notice the ban went into place after you made the post?
I'm not kidding, guys. Only like 15 seconds at most.
Wow. So the post did it successfully post to the page, or did it never even make it?
It didn't even make it. They said that they're not going to show it. And this is the really disturbing part, because I was already familiar and heard a lot how Facebook doesn't respect our privacy.
Nope, they sure don't.
Things like that. And here's the disturbing part for me.
Okay.
I had my settings set to where it would only post to only me. I chose that setting, only me. And it still somehow caught it. Even though you see a whole lot more at a public beach. This was just a woman's feet.
Okay, now, question about the content of, because normally when somebody posts something to Facebook, if it's a photo, they'll usually post some sort of caption, some sort of text along with it. Was there something offensive, perhaps, some wording in the text that might have triggered whatever auto filter that they got going on behind the scenes?
Absolutely nothing. I put no text on it, and there was no text in the picture.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was just nothing more. Yeah. And it's just like, what constitutes porn? Like the problem you guys have with this other site.
Was there a lot of skin in the photograph? Was it just somebody's foot, or you said the person was clothed, right? So it wasn't like they were showing a lot.
The woman was totally clothed. I mean, wearing even to the point of wearing long pants. She was wearing jeans.
Yeah,
The only
see,
thing that was off was her shoes and socks.
that's weird because
I know how to describe this, but unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just I don't understand how this could have happened.
And they don't give you an explanation. There was no citation of nudity policy. Was there anything where they got more specific?
It just said something about their community standards. What is community standards about a relatively obscure fetish just about feet that we see every day? You see a whole lot more than that at the public beach.
According to the story
yeah.
at Vice.com entitled "This is Why Some People Are Turned On by Feet," written by a foot fetishist named Grant Stoddard, he says there was a 2007 study published in the International Journal of Impotence Research found that among those professing to have a fetish, feet were the most common preferences for body parts. So I don't know if it's that uncommon. I mean, a former co-host of ours was into feet, so maybe it's not that uncommon. But regardless of how common it is, it doesn't seem like it should in any way violate a Facebook community guidelines policy if it wasn't showing any nudity and you weren't typing in really offensive things along with the caption as well. But we don't run the site, and they have whatever arbitrary, stupid rules they're going to have. I would recommend getting off of Facebook and finding somewhere else that's more respective of your particular belief systems and preferences. Jeff, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Interesting story. People have been getting banned left and right off of Facebook, and sometimes there's some reasons and rationale that are given, and other times they don't owe you an explanation. It's their platform. They can do whatever they want with it.
I think the best thing that a lot of people could get would be a 30-day ban off of Facebook.
Just to give them a break, just to give them the incentive to figure out something else to do with their time.
Sure. I think Facebook's good for, I don't know.
For what?
Posting a few pictures of your family so that your friends can see them and that kind of thing.
Sure.
Maybe exchanging some recipes.
Yeah.
That's about all I've got. I think that's what it should be for. It should be a sort of, I think it's a great way to sort of make a chronicle of your life, diary, that kind of thing. Now, let's not forget
that then Facebook can then mine for data and sell.
As they do, and the federal government, they're completely in bed with them, and so you're giving all the information you possibly could to
on
the
yourself.
authorities. But
you're creating your own profile for the federal government.
Everybody wants it. Most people have thought to themselves, I should write a diary.
This is the closest that some come to it.
This is a great way to sort of figure out where you were, when you were, sometime in the past. If it was a little more searchable and usable, that'd be cool.
Garbage. You can't search crap on Facebook. It's useless. But I'm not going to rehash the things I said about it last night because I had a few things to say about Facebook. So if you missed that, you can go to our website at freetalklive.com. You can download previous episodes there that go all the way back to 2006.
I'm sure all of them were smug and just talking about how you've kicked the Facebook habit, and everybody else should too.
No, I mean, hey, if you like it, no. What I said is if you like it, man, have a blast. It's just, it doesn't do what it once did. It doesn't connect effectively, and it doesn't allow for organizing, and it doesn't effectively allow you to communicate the people that you want to reach. So they broke it, and they broke it so on the intention of you paying them to reach the people you want.
They did do that.
So that's the short version. Anyway, the International Journal of Impotence Research, according to the story here, fully 47% of fetish groups' subscribers in the sample the study looked at were into feet. 47% of them. That doesn't tell us how many of the masses like feet, of course, and foot-related things, but among the, quote, pervs of 2007, it was pretty big. Study's authors also mentioned Sigmund Freud noticed the frequent interest in feet and ascribed it to the notion that feet are, quell your surprise, a penis symbol. That I've never heard. I have never heard that about the foot before, and I can't even understand how that could be. Maybe that says more about Freud than it does anybody else.
I get the impression Freud called lots of things phallic.
He says, I chiefly credit my foot fetish, because this is a question I meant to ask the caller, but I forgot it. Like, how'd you get into it? Because I'm always interested to know, like, where'd that come from? He says, I credit my foot fetish to the events of an uncharacteristically long, hot English summer in my middle adolescence. 2 other boys and I spent many summer days with 3 girls we knew from school. We sunbathed, hung out at a local swimming pool, went walking in the nearby woods. where the girls plucked daisies between their toes on more than one occasion. Interesting.
Well, there you go.
Not knowing a whole lot about foot fetishes, I found myself curious. And, of course, Vice has an article that's all about it, written by a guy who has a foot fetish. He's talking about how he started. How does that happen? Is it something you're born with, or are there circumstances that lead one towards that particular viewpoint or interest?
I can see why they would have written the article, because I can imagine a lot of people would be sort of interested in this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, they say that a fair amount of people who are fetishists are into feet. There was
so
a
they
study.
Can't tell you what percentage of the population is a foot fetish, but what they can tell you is that people who go to fetish websites, what percentage of them are foot fetishists?
Yeah, of those professing to have a fetish, feet were the most common preference for body parts or features and objects usually associated with the body. So that doesn't mean it's the most popular of all fetishes. It just means that of body part related fetishes, feet are the clear winner.
Yeah, I'm not sure that there's if I were to think of a fetish, I wouldn't think of any other body part really being a fetish, right?
Besides feet, you mean?
Right. So there's a few body parts that are sort of just traditionally sexual. But these are the parts you're supposed
Female
to
breasts,
like.
legs.
That's one of them.
Yep.
Butts and things like that. So I'm not sure that would be called a fetish just because it's so ordinary.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, fetishes are normally out of the ordinary, right?
So at that point, then
How about the curvature of the neck? Is that a
I don't think so.
fetish?
I think that's just something you're attracted to. So
Well, what's the difference between something you're attracted to and a fetish? I mean, a fetish is something you obsess over.
Foot and fetish are alliterative. That's the reason.
Well, that's nice. It's handy. The toll-free number here, if you want to join us, 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. So I was reading the part of the story here where he explains where this, in his mind at least, came from. What was the origin of his interest in or his fetish in feet? And he talks about when he was a child in his middle adolescence with other kids of his age. They were, outdoors with one another and walking in the woods. Girls barefoot. They were plucking daisies between their toes. And he says, despite lots of yearning from the boys, particularly me, the activity within our co-ed sextet remained entirely platonic. The most titillating thing that happened from my perspective, he says, was that the girl who I was interested in ended up leaving a pair of sneakers at my house. Her two friends had been razzing her about how stinky they'd gotten over the summer. Resigned to the fact that sniffing her well-ripened British nights would be as physically close as I ever got to her. So just out of child desperation of wanting attention and all that, he says, I ended up huffing them whenever I was alone.
Oh, dear.
The effect it had on my person was so intense and profound that I feared that, he was talking about how he was turned on, that it would never subside. So apparently just the interest in this young lady, being able to see her toes and feet, and then having access to an article of her clothing, specifically her shoes, led him into this world. And then I guess she just left the shoes there, so he had them for some amount of time.
So I have to sort of put aside my disgust with all of this. And then realize
feet are stinky.
We're just animals.
Yep.
I've got this great dog that's staying with me. She's a St. Bernard.
They sniff each other's butts.
She is what I call a hot-nosed dog. What's
that mean?
What that means is they rely heavily on their nose. Usually I'm of the opinion that means they're good at it, good at using their nose. Mm-hmm. It could just mean that she's got droopy eyes and it's hard for her to
blind.
see.
Yeah.
Well, no, she's a St. Bernard. And so they're bred to have these kind of droopy eyes.
I see.
And it's a little more difficult for them to see. And she loves to smell things, all kinds of vile things. There was a dead frog in the driveway, and she wanted to smell it, and Lord knows what she intended to do with it if I left her there long enough. Right? It's just gross.
Gnaw on it.
And bring
it inside. The dogs don't really do that. It's more of a cat thing, right? Bringing a dead thing indoors.
Yeah, she probably would have tried to consume it quickly if she had gotten the opportunity, because
she could roll in it too. They like to roll in death.
That I'm going to get her out of the range of that thing pretty quickly. So, because I don't want that in my house. It's yuck.
One time, Jazzy rolled in some death, and it was Just awful.
It's hard to get rid of once it takes hold.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as the skunk. The skunk was the worst.
Yes. Anybody who's had a dog that's had a little run-in with a skunk knows what you're talking about. It's not much fun at all.
Poor Jazzy.
So we're not that far removed on the modern human, as we were described, as 200,000 years old.
Yeah, I mean, we're not that far removed from the monkeys throwing poop at one another.
The agrarian revolution is 10,000 years ago. So of 1/20th of the time that modern humans have roamed the earth, have we grown food and lived in a society and things like that. And I'm sure that sexual practices, normative sexual practices, took a long time to get in place, even in agrarian societies. They didn't all just show up one day and say, we're going to do monogamy, and you're only allowed to talk about certain parts of it. That's all that's acceptable. I don't think that's probably what happened. So I have to just kind of put these things aside and think to myself, all right, well, you do you, pal.
Old man J. Raoul in our Twitch chat adds in that combined with the hormonal insanity of puberty, things can get weird quick.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then he adds, the author over at Vice.com adds this. He says, in my mind, the shoes were a sort of fetish-inducing double whammy. There was the smell of her, plus the idea that I was beneath her, figuratively, at her feet. So maybe kind of like a domination thing going on here. She came over to get them before school started, but in that week or week and a half that those kicks lived at my house, I acquired an enduring and expanding fetish, now in its 27th year.
What if he's contacted her?
What, since then, to tell her thank you? or
whatever.
Can you send me your old shoes for old time's sake? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It does make you think a little bit more about the people that work in shoe stores, though, doesn't it?
No.
No? You don't want to think about that?
I'm sure the people who work in shoe stores are just selling shoes, by and large.
I'm sure that's true, by and large. But I bet you there's a few of them that are really into it.
I'm sure they are. They probably have their preferences and find them on sale and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, so if you want to join us here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This story goes on. I'm going to put it on our social media, so if you want to engage in this further and investigate it further, then this is a good place to start. I'm not into it, but hey, man, whatever floats your boat, as long as it's consensual. So
yeah, that's what libertarianism is. Libertarianism is. It's just about whether or not it's consensual, and if it's not hurting anybody, and everybody's adult and consenting, then fine.
Apparently it bugs some people on the video streaming sites because the foot fetishists, or people at least masquerading as them, will come into chat rooms of women and like the women streamers, and ask them to show their feet on the stream. And I guess some of them will probably do it if the guy ponies up enough money.
Sure. If any of these streaming sites, you can put money,
right? You
can donate money right there as they're doing things.
Tip.lrn.fm.
Tip.lrn.fm.
That's
and what's
right.
that allow you to do?
You can use credit card or PayPal to throw a tip into the stream, and then we'll see it. And there's like a message that you can include, so you could write something about your foot fetish or whatever, and then it appears on the screen. And if you tip over $4 worth, then a robot lady will read your message out over the stream. Like while we're talking, she'll just talk right over us. So you can get your message read kind of on the air, and then we'll acknowledge it, say thanks, and I'll hand out cash in the studio. More coming up here. Hour 3's next. It's Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Listen live 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, or grab the podcast. It's all at freetalklive.com.